Okay, I have to confess something, and that's when I saw the name Tammy Faye, I knew for a fact it was Tammy Faye Bakker, but I thought Tammy Faye Bakker was this lady here with the giant hair because she was also a televangelist. I think she died recently. Is something Gershon? So I thought the Eyes of Tammy Faye would be about her. It was not, and if we're going to be completely honest, anytime you tell me about a female televangelist, I just assume it's about her. Give me a name, this is who I am picturing specifically. But come to find out, that is in fact not her. This is the 2021 biopic, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, starring Jessica Chastain and Andrew Garfield, who you wouldn't know by looking at them, except kind of Andrew Garfield, but you would be surprised. So what's this about? So this is the life story of TV evangelist and gay icon Tammy Faye Bakker, a minister in her own right and the wife of fellow televangelist Jim Bakker. So basically when Tammy Faye was little, she really wanted to go to church with her mom, but her mom was divorced and she was a child of divorce, and her mom thought that the church would cast them both out. So Tammy Faye wasn't allowed to go to church, but then one day she just kind of walked in and took communion to get saved because she really wanted to be saved. But when she took her first communion, she fell on the floor and started speaking in tongues and kind of seizing up. And that's how we knew she was going into ministry. But while she's in college learning ministry, she meets Jim Bakker, and they decide they're going to go on the road and start their own church. Specifically, they want to work with a lot of the younger kids, doing little puppet shows and things so that the kids will want to bring their parents, and that's how they collect this big community church. Well, while they're on the road, their car gets stolen, and they meet this man who works with Pat Robertson, who currently has a TV channel called the Christian Broadcasting Network. And if any of this sounds familiar to you, so the Christian Broadcasting Network is its own TV channel. It's still up and running. And Pat Robertson was the TV preacher on the 700 Club. You know the 700 Club? That's on Freeform, in the middle of the night at some point. But Freeform absolutely tells you this does not reflect their feelings on anything. And one time I was watching it and he told a woman that she shouldn't put pictures of her grandbaby on Facebook because witches could curse him. But he also hated the gay community on a list of a zillion other people he thought was going to hell. But also, fun fact, I lived 5 minutes up the road from the CBN. Did I ever go to it? No. Did I watch anything from it? Also no. Actually, funny enough, I lived 5 minutes from the CBN, but I also worked at a sex store. That was a little further away, but still funny. Anyway, and so Tammy Faye and Jim Bakker worked at the CBN for a long ass time, and they saw how Pat and his family lived in this great big house with a beautiful pool, and his wife wore a mink coat everywhere, and they decided they wanted to do that, so they went out and they made their own Christian TV channel, and it became one of the biggest in the world. They were doing ministries everywhere across the globe, and they were working on all these projects and houses and all sorts of crazy stuff. And while all that's going on, they're also funneling money into their own bank accounts. They were getting salaries. Jim makes $300,000 a year and Tammy Faye made $100,000 a year. But I guess Jim was really into taking extra money. He was the brains of the whole operation. I'm not certain Tammy Faye actually knew that part. They made it abundantly clear that Tammy Faye was literally just trying to preach. If she wanted to reach out to people, she wanted to help people. She did enjoy a lot of the comforts of what she could get. Mink coats, really nice houses. She always had her hair and her makeup and her nails done. But I don't know if she was involved in said actual practices of stealing money or any of that. Now, during the course of all that, she has an affair with her music producer, which didn't go very far. They were humping outside of the pants, and then her water broke with Jim's baby. But then she gets addicted to Ativan, and Jim was not only stealing money, but apparently he also sexually assaulted a woman. And on the DL, apparently they had a lavender marriage, or I think that's what they were hinting at. Well, anyways, a bunch of money was going missing, and then a bunch of other TV preachers got involved. Tammy Faye got back into performing music, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. But what they didn't talk about at the end of the movie is that when Jim Bakker actually got out of prison, he started pushing these apocalypse food buckets. It's buckets full of shelf-stable food that you can have after the second coming of Jesus, in case you don't get raptured. And if you've ever watched Good Mythical Morning, they've actually tried them before. You should look it up. It's the Jim Bakker buckets. Now, did I like it? Yeah, kinda. I thought it was interesting. I thought it told an interesting story. The acting was incredible. The music was nice. The costuming, beautiful. Movie-wise, there's nothing here not to like. The only thing here I'm questioning is the accuracy of the content. Because if this is to be believed, then Tammy Faye was unfortunately the victim of a lot of men making really stupid decisions. And I tried to Google how much was accurate, and that's how I found out she's actually considered a gay icon. And when I tried to research the factuality of everything, I didn't find too much, but that's how I found out that she is in fact considered a gay icon, because she was a televangelist in the 70s and 80s advocating for gay rights. She even went so far as to go on her own Christian church channel and interview a gay AIDS patient during the height of the AIDS epidemic. And that was a big deal at the time. Do y'all remember, when Princess Diana hugged an AIDS patient? We were still learning a lot of things, and a lot of people were afraid to touch anybody. Apparently, she was also very comfortable discussing things like penile pumps as well, because a healthy sex life is important in a marriage, whatever healthy looks like to you. Now, because it is biopic, and I obviously can't guarantee everything with 100% factuality, I have to treat it like I do every other quote-unquote non-fiction film, which means it's considered unrateable, but I will say watchable. Also, they did a damn good job. Does that look like Jessica Chastain to you? Because it is. Does that look like Andrew Garfield to you? Well, obviously, yes, but he has that weird pastor vibe, and this role really was meant for him. And if not him, obviously Topher Grace. They're just interchangeable. So yes, unrateable, yet watchable. Okay, bye. There will come a payday, hallelujah, come a payday. There will come a payday someday, someday.